Folks, fam, friends, welcome to Out the Box. Today we're stewing chicken in a red, and this is my take on a favorite meal prep.
Look at him. That's me, Gene. I'm part of a hip-hop group, The Invisible Ponchos, and I host a podcast called The Beat Block. So what am I doing in the kitchen? Trying to create a new production showing artists how to create delicious food for a healthier life? Well, if you've seen our vlogs, you might have noticed our love for food. A lot of it on the go, late night grabs turned into next morning bathroom visits and a bottle of Pepto. We're getting older now, and well, the wisdom has arrived. Welcome to Out the Box, where we fuel the artist and the art.
Folks, fam, friends, welcome to Out the Box, where we fuel the art and the artist. Today we're gonna make a soul-filled, rich dish that was passed down from my father to me, and he called it Pollo Juan Carlito. I know everybody has a chicken and rice dish. Now here's my take on a classic meal prep favorite. All right, what you wanna do is you wanna go ahead and, I realize I don't have to yell at the mic right here. All right, first let's go ahead and turn our burner on to about medium-high heat, and we'll coat the bottom of the pan with some oil. We'll let that warm up just a second. Now here we have chicken legs. You can use any cut of chicken. You can use chicken thighs. You can use chicken breasts. You can use chicken wings. Whatever you want to do, this is your meal. And now that the oil is nice and warm, we're gonna go ahead and put our chicken. We're gonna keep the skins on because everybody knows fat is flavor. So let's go ahead and we'll cook down the fat first. And we wanna brown the chicken on both sides. We don't wanna cook it all the way through because that's what the low and slow time is gonna do, allow the meat to fall off the bone. I'm gonna go and wash my hands. And while that's going, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the onions and the carrots. We have chicken for protein and good fats. We have onions and carrots, which are gonna create the soul flavor of the dish, the nice base. We have oregano and cumin, our two major seasonings for this dish. Red wine, this is gonna add a lot of good, bold richness to the whole thing. Tomato paste, tomato sauce, which is our foundational flavor. And then everything's gonna go on top of a bed of white basmati rice. And some sweet green peas are just gonna add color because everybody likes a little color. I always say recipes are just guidelines. Feel free to make any adjustments that work for you. You can cut the carrots this big. You can cut the carrots this big. Again, it depends on how big you like your vegetables in this dish. There's no have to do it, you know? I like to cut my carrots a little bit smaller. And as they cook low and slow in the stew, they'll soften up and have a nice bite to them. They won't be too hard and they'll have a nice flavor, kind of sweet. Same with the onions. You can cut them however you'd like. We'll do a rough chop on the onions on this one. Let's go ahead and check the chicken. And it's still going on that. The fat is definitely rendering down, which is gonna come in handy later when we combine all the flavors. And I season as I go. I don't add too much salt kind of towards the end once all the tomato sauce is in there, the carrots, the onions. But I will add oregano and cumin. Those are our two spices. The cumin and the oregano are really gonna create a lot of soul in this dish. We'll go ahead and remove the chicken at this point and we'll set it off to the side. Okay, we can turn our fire down to a medium, and with the same base, with all this oil and the fat, we're gonna toss in our onion and our carrot. And at this point, we're gonna do our first flavor addition. We're gonna add a little pinch of cumin and a little pinch of oregano. And we want to cook these down just enough to where the onions start losing a little bit of its fullness and you can start seeing a little translucency in the onions. And at this point, the onions and the carrots are sweating. Now we want to introduce the red wine. You can use any wine that you like, Cabernet, Merlot, Chablis, any red wine. You just want to pour a little in, measure with your heart, just enough to cover the bottom. Now it's gonna release all that good bits on the bottom, all the fat and all the brown crusties, and that's good flavor, and we wanna introduce that into the party. Now let's go ahead and put back the chicken. A little zing of cumin, a little bada bing of oregano, and still no salt. Still no salt because the chicken has flavor, the onions and the carrots, all this right here has flavor. We don't want to over salt because if we salt now and we add and we salt again and we add and we salt again, we might end up having too much salt and you can't take back the salt. This is all smelling really good already. The red wine, the oregano, the cumin, onions. Man. All right, so we're gonna go ahead first and add in our tomato paste. And our tomato sauce. Now we might not use this whole thing, kind of we'll eye it out, see how much we need. Stir this. Because we're not trying to make a soup. We want to make a nice, rich sauce. A little bit more. Now just marry this all together. Now that everything's combined here, you're gonna see you have a pretty thick sauce. And if we cook this down, a lot of the liquid will evaporate and it'll be even more thick. So this might be a little bit close to what we want the finished product, but it's gonna cook down for a while. So I'm gonna add just enough water to not make it a soup, but nice sauce. This is the consistency you like to see. It will drip off the spatula, but you do have stuff sticking to the spatula. So now we'll add another zing of cumin, another bam of oregano. We'll stir this all in. I'm gonna turn the heat up to about a medium high, just until we see some good bubbles going on. We'll put a lid on it and we'll put the flame down and let it do its thing. Now that we see a mild boil going on around the edges, we're gonna go ahead and just cover it up and turn this down to about medium low heat. And we have to now practice patience because the real magic in the cooking is the low and slow time that we got going on here. So we're gonna have this go for about 30 to 45 minutes. We'll check on it and we'll see how we're at. In the meantime, we'll go ahead and get our rice started. Before we even put it in the pot, let's go ahead and turn our burner on to about medium. And what I like to do, I don't know about you guys, but I like to add some oil and I like to fry my rice before putting the water in there. I think it adds a little bit more flavor. It wakes up the rice a little bit, just gives it a little bit more nuttiness to the flavor. We'll go ahead now and toss in our rice. We'll just stir the rice around a bit, let it soak in the oil. Now I'm gonna turn this really high and we're gonna fry this rice for a sec. All right, now we're gonna add our water. I think the rule of thumb for rice to water, for example, if you're using a half a cup of rice, put in about 3/4 cup of water to a cup of water, but we're measuring with our heart. I've heard somebody say the old Filipino secret is you put your finger in there, and if the water is about half a finger above the rice, you're good to go. If you put too much water, you're gonna have kind of a soupy rice, and if you don't put enough water, your rice won't cook all the way and you'll have hard, crispy rice. Same thing applies with the stew, the same thing applies with the rice. You put too little water, funky. You put too much water, you're gonna have some soup. We don't want either of those things. Bring this to a boil and let it boil for about a minute. We're gonna turn the rice down now. Now that the rice has been boiling for a minute, we're gonna put the lid on it and turn our heat all the way down so that the steam will go ahead and cook the rice. The water will evaporate. The rice will actually consume the water. You'll have your rice inflate a little bit and we'll have good fluffy rice. Let's go ahead and check on our chicken. That's looking good. we'll do our first taste test. That is really good. But we do now call for some salt. So we'll just do a pinch of salt. One of my favorite things about cooking shows is that they'll say, let's put in a pinch of salt, and they'll go ahead and grab a scoop of salt, like a whole handful, and they'll throw it in there. I'm like, that's a pinch? I love it. My pinch is literally like 2-finger pinch, boom, there you go, there's some salt. Again, I don't want to over salt because you can't take it back. You can always add salt later. Especially even when you serve, you might still have the call for some salt. Or if you're cooking for others, they might say, oh, I want some more salt. So allow them the availability to add the salt to their liking. All right, so at this point, the sauce is a nice consistency where we like it. The chicken's starting to fall off the bone, so we're just about ready. We're gonna go ahead and drop these sweet peas in there to add a nice bright vibrance to the dish. I prefer using frozen peas over canned peas because, as you can see, the frozen peas retain their nice bright green color. You know what I'm talking about when you open up a can of peas and it's like a off green, forest green, sewer green. Which we don't want. We don't like it. It doesn't taste good, and they've been sitting in salt that whole time in that can. So that's another reason why we use this, and we like to control our salt. So we're gonna go ahead and just drop this into the pot. And you can add as much or as little as you like. And we'll go ahead and just add this whole bowl. And then just fold them in. And this only needs to be going for until the peas are warmed. They don't need to cook. They're fully cooked already. We want to retain that nice green color purely for the aesthetics. Let's keep it real. And while those peas are warming up, let's go ahead and check our rice. This looks beautiful. Ready to be piled on with a nice sauce and chicken. All right, now all we gotta do is put it on a plate. So let's go ahead and scoop some rice. Let's get a nice ladle of some sauce. And then we'll grab chicken. Let's get fancy. Top it off with a little oregano. And there you have it. Pollo a la Juan Carlito. Now all there's left to do is enjoy. Cheers. You can definitely make, from what I cooked here today, 2 to 3 meals, put them in a Tupperware, have them ready to go for any time that you got called to do something creative and you need a quick bite. Grab that, take it to where you need to go, or have it before you go and enjoy. This is Pollo Juan Carlito. This is Out the Box, where we fuel the artist and the art. We'll see you next time.
I